2018 is, and I mean, 2018 will be a challenging year. I think everybody recognizes that. And when we say challenging, everybody assumes that it is going to be this horrific experience. I don't think it needs to be. Challenging from the perspective that we will need to take some tough decisions in relation to various aspects of our economy. We continue to be affected by a high deficit and high debt. Those things are actually part of the results of the types of things that we do as a country to maintain the quality of life in Barbados. So a lot of government spending, for example, goes into the social sectors: health, education, sanitation, water, you name it. Those are the things that really take up a lot of money. And they're not easily reformed. They're not easily slashed, they're not easily cut. In fact, in some instances, say for example in public health, it would be a fairly dangerous thing to just decide one day that you're going to cut the budget, say, of the QEH from $180 million on average to, say, half of that, because how would you deliver the services? Again, for education, as you know, when we made the decision to ask students to pay a little bit of the cost of university education by way of the tuition fee, there was a very robust pushback and outcry by aspects and elements in the population. Sanitation, we don't pay at point of delivery for sanitation services. Now, if you take those aspects alone, they contribute to or are part of a significant proportion of government's budget. Now, in order for efficiencies and adjustments to be made relative to the deficit and then laterally to your debt, somebody is going to have to address those issues, and government is the agency marshaled or charged with the responsibility of doing so. So the challenge will come from the national discourse that has to be undertaken between all of the social partners and the public of Barbados as to how we are going to, one, finance a large part of our budget, which is contributed towards the social development complex in Barbados. Two, how we are going to make ourselves more efficient and proficient by way of increasing productivity, lowering costs, and of course making ourselves far more nimble with trade and business facilitation. And three, how we are going to address the issue of debt. How are we going to deal with the mountainous debt that we have, not in terms of our foreign debt, because that's fairly small, but in terms of our domestically held debt in relation to government. So the challenge is going to be around those areas, and perhaps now is as perfect a time for that to be done in 2018, when we have seen a path to economic growth. We know that tourism is really performing very, very well. In fact, it is outperforming all previous years. We know that we've seen manufacturing stabilize, and we're beginning to see exports increase in some areas, rum and so forth and so on, electronic components and other areas. We know that there's been an increase in output relative to alternative energy. There are new plans coming on board from companies, foreign and domestic, in terms of investments in those areas. And generally in some of the other, I should say, lesser known but not lesser in importance sectors, such as the cultural industries and sports and so forth and so on, that the contribution seems to be increasing on the up.